Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Whoa, trying to adjust my camera there. There we go. Hope you guys are doing good. This video, as you could tell from the topic title, is about my really bad experience with an SSRI, famously known as Prozac. So I'll just jump right into it. So let's go back to 2024, end of summer 2024 specifically. For the longest time, I've struggled with anxiety. Long story short, I get way too in my head about all the worst possible scenarios that could happen. I overthink things to the extreme, and it's caused a rift with quite a few relationships over the years because I let my emotions from my overthinking get the better of me, and I lash out's kind of a harsh term for it, but like kind of just react upon those feelings and thoughts to the people that I'm close with, and more often than not, it ended up not leaving us in a good place. So I won't bore you with the specific details of those situations because otherwise this video is going to be like 3 hours long. But basically, that's like the gist of my battle with anxiety. I and it runs through my family too. Like almost everybody in my family has anxiety on a relatively high level. A couple people in my family were diagnosed with anxiety and took medications for it. So, it does not surprise me at all that I have anxiety myself too. But it wasn't until 2024 that I really put in the effort and action to get further help for this. Because, people will tell you, oh, do stuff like, meditation, yoga that helps with anxiety. And I mean, it does, but for me, it only did like a little bit. And also, people will say to do journaling too. And I've done journaling as well. It only helps a little bit. During that time, I remember telling myself, okay, I need something more than journaling, meditation, yoga, all that stuff, because and obviously, anxiety is never going to be wiped away fully. It's just I know that's not realistic. I know, I was aware of that at the time too. But again, I needed something more than that. Something that could just make the day by day life easier for me. Because I spend way too much time in my head, and it's led to all kinds of rash impulse decisions. Again, I'm not going to get into it, otherwise this video will take forever. So I was in therapy at the time with a famous company called Kaiser Permanente. And I really pushed for me having meds for my anxiety because I was really, I don't know what the word is, really forward with, okay, my mind there's a problem up here. I need additional help because just therapy and meditation, it's working, but I need something more. So therapist made a recommendation to reach out to a doctor at Kaiser. I followed his instructions, sent a message to the doctor in question. Doctor said, yeah, we can get you on Prozac starting out at 20 milligrams, I believe is what I started out as. It was 20 or 25. And I thought to myself, oh, wow, that was really easy. Okay. So like the following week, I got the prescription at Kaiser, and I took it the following day. Yeah, because I remember because the following morning was when I had my first day of work at my previous job. So took the pill. About an hour, I noticed the effects. And I really liked the effects because I noticed I was just hyper present, hyper focused in the moment, not in my head at all. I felt light. I felt like I could just react better in the moment to like, for example, if someone was asking me a question, I could like answer like immediately, so stuff like that. And I remember feeling, oh my god, this is working, holy crap, this is amazing. I feel so in the moment right now. I feel so present that I feel I don't really, I can't really feel or hear the thoughts in my mind, which is what I was going for. So a couple days of that went by, and again everything was going great until it wasn't. The first bad side effect was me getting a horrible stomach ache a couple nights after I started it. It felt like I was going to throw up, and it was one of the worst stomach aches I've ever had in my life. So I took a couple of Tums, waited it out about an hour. It went away. I remember thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, okay, I hope that's the worst of it, because that was really bad. I'm really surprised I didn't vomit, but I digress. Um, but it only got worse from there. So the next really bad side effect was I could not sleep. Couple that with I started seeing hallucinations. And when I talk about hallucinations, I'm talking about the scary, demonic type of hallucinations. I vividly remember one night I was sleeping. No, sorry, I'm not sleeping. I was in my bed trying to sleep. But I saw these. They're, I found out later they're called closed eye hallucinations. So, for example, you're closing your eyes, you're trying to go to sleep, you see stuff that forms in your vision while your eyes are closed. And what I saw was just kind of demonic looking entities like floating in and out of my vision, and these weird geometric shapes that I know for a fact they were not there in all the other many nights I've slept before, and I knew this was a side effect of the medication. And I remember being pretty freaked out because I'm just like, oh my god, this is wow. It feels like I'm on a bad acid trip. I never took acid before, but I'm assuming that's what it must be like. And then I opened my eyes, hoping they would go away, but they kind of really didn't. I remember just seeing these smiling little demonic looking things just floating in the air and around my room, and I knew they weren't real. I knew I was hallucinating, but it was still really scary. So that was that night. The hallucinations went away, but I couldn't sleep at all. So next day was work. I was still feeling the good effects. I took a pill. Sorry, rewind a little bit. The recommendation for this was take a pill once every night right before I go to sleep. So that's what I was doing at that point. So again, the following day came. Work was great. Was hyper focused still. Really didn't feel tired, oddly enough. But again, that's a side effect of the medication. The next night comes. I don't take a pill this time because I'm thinking to myself at this point. I'm thinking to myself, okay, the pills are clearly keeping me up, so let me just skip this night and just start taking them in the morning because I need my sleep, you know. So the night comes, I try to sleep. Again, hallucinations are happening when I close my eyes. I'm seeing these freaky demonic entities and shapes morphing in and out into the void. And I start to get really freaked out because it's now after midnight. I don't even feel tired. And I start to get really worried because I gotta wake up in like 6 hours for work. I'm not falling asleep. And so I start to get really freaked out because I've heard of stories of people, being hospitalized and even dying from going without sleep for too long and going, I don't want to use the word crazy, but like going, just kind of, I guess, into like psychosis from not getting enough sleep. And those thoughts were running through my mind. I'm like, oh no, I'm coming up on the second night without any sleep. This is actually serious and scary. So I call the 24/7 hotline or help hotline, whatever it's called, for Kaiser. I described to them the situation, and basically, the lady told me that, they're. I don't remember specifically what she said, but it was along the veins of, Kaiser isn't going to take, your situation seriously because you're going a second night without any sleep. Um, and she said, could it be because you are experiencing this side effect because you didn't take the pill? Like, basically, are you going through withdrawals? And I'm like, no, I don't. There's no way I'm going through withdrawals already. Like, this is just my first night not taking the pill consecutively. So I basically, long story short, the hotline wasn't really helpful because they basically were just saying, it's you'll be fine. Going 48 hours without sleep is that's not serious enough for Kaiser to consider for whatever reason. Um, I did call again a couple hours later, and I was a lot more firm with my stance on telling them, hey, there's something going on here. I cannot sleep. This medication I'm seeing hallucinations both when I try to go to sleep and when I don't go to sleep. Please help. So the guy that answered this time took it a little bit more seriously, but again, he was like, okay, well, if you didn't take the pill, you might be experiencing withdrawal, blah blah blah. But he did put in a referral for my doctor to call me um, later in the day. So that was it. That's all I could do was just pray that I go to sleep, but I couldn't. I could not fall asleep for the life of me because I was still seeing those demonic visions when I was closing my eyes, and my mind saw this. My mind was hyper focused on seeing this and analyzing them, and so therefore I could not go to sleep. Gets worse, folks. Gets worse. So, the next day arrives. Didn't get any sleep at all. I have to go to a training at some other school. And a couple hours into the training, I had to leave because I just I needed to know what was the solution here. What was going to be done to help me? What was going to help? So, call Kaiser again. I tell them, hey, something's really off here. Like I feel. I don't know. I feel really really off, and at that moment in time, I couldn't tell if it was just because of lack of sleep or if it was like another side effect that was going to happen. But now bear in mind, it's been over 24 hours since I've taken a medication. So also in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, I didn't take a pill at night, so I don't know what else it could be. So the person I talked to said that they'll push my referral or whatever it's called to the doctor, so that way he can get a quicker time to call me. So an hour goes by. I'm at my school that I actually work at. I'm noticing my vision. Something's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like something's like kind of popping in and out of my field. But I don't know exactly what it was. It just, I don't know. I could tell something was off with my vision. Like I can see clearly, but there was like something there that wasn't supposed to be there. If that even makes any sense. So the doctor calls me back. I describe to him all the symptoms that I'm having, and he says to me, which didn't really help. He says to me, Cameron, the way what you're describing, this is like. He said something like, "This is like the worst case of someone having really bad side effects on Prozac I've ever seen in my 20-year career of working at Kaiser." And I'm like, okay, well, great. That probably helps the situation. Oh, it makes me feel better. But I told the doctor, yeah, I don't know. Maybe my body's just really sensitive to this specific type of medication. I don't know. Now, bear in mind, at the time, the doctor prescribed me, starting out, 20 milligrams of Prozac. I didn't think at the time that that was a heavy dose to start out. So, circle back on that in a minute. So, he said he's going to prescribe to me what's called Ativan, which calms and relaxes the mind and helps you go to sleep more easily. And he said I could pick that up, in an hour at Kaiser. So I told him, oh, okay, I'll be down there. Thank you. So I hang up the phone, and this my vision gets worse. I can still see, but there's a thing blipping out my vision at this point. And I told my coworker and my the principal of the school, I'm sorry, I need to leave. I need to go because I'm having a crisis right now. I didn't go into specific details, but I need to leave. So I go to my car, and I feel my heart like thump like repeatedly, like hyper speed. And I'm thinking and I get in my car and I sit in it, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, is this where I die? Because this thing that's blipping in and out of my vision, I see it more clearly now. And do not ask me why I'm seeing this specific thing. I don't know why I'm seeing it, but if you know what the anonymous face looks like, the people that run anonymous on YouTube and all that stuff, that was what was blipping in and out of my vision. Again, I do not know why that specifically was in my vision, but that's what I saw. It was something that was there that shouldn't have been there in my vision. It kept blipping in and out like every 2 seconds, and it was the scariest thing ever. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my god, this is where I die. Like this, I don't know what's happening, but this is where I die. Like more than 48 hours without sleep, this thing's happening to me. My heart's like fucking, sorry, don't mean to swear, but my heart's feels like it's gonna beat on my chest. I don't know what's gonna happen. So I now the next thing I'm doing, you guys are gonna disagree on, but in the moment I'm not thinking rationally. I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, I need to get to Kaiser because this is fatal. This is like life threatening at this point. So what I did, the crazy thing, I started up my car and drove to the nearest Kaiser, which is like 10 minutes away from my work, while this thing was blipping in on my vision and my heart was thumping rapidly. Now, I'm aware that I should not have drove myself over there because of what was happening. I put myself and others at risk. I am very much aware of that. But again, in the moment, I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking, oh my, I need to get to this place ASAP. Because again, like if I were to call an Uber or something, like it would have taken way longer to get over there, and the goal was just to get there as soon as humanly possible. So, on the road, I'm halfway there, and I feel the right side of my body vibrate, like uncontrollably shake, and I'm like, oh my god, what is happening to my body right now? I'm shaking. I can't stop it. Why is my body like vibrating and shaking? So, thankfully, I was able to pull over into a side neighborhood and park on the side of the road, and my body still vibrates, and I still see this thing blipping in on my vision, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, I need to call 911. I don't know what is happening with me. I need to call 911. So I called 911, told them my location, told them what was happening. They said they'll send people on the way. I called my mom and then my dad, described them what was going on, and I just broke down crying because I don't know what the hell was happening. I was so confused and disoriented and just scared that I didn't, you know, I don't know. It was it was so it was so scary, guys. Let me tell you, that was the most scared I've ever felt in my entire life, probably. And so, yeah, I just that was probably the hardest I've also cried in years too. So, ambulance shows up. They check my vitals, blood pressure, heart rate, all that stuff. Um, Everything was fine. And but now by this time that they arrive, my symptoms started dying down. The anonymous mask wasn't blipping in my vision anymore. The vibrating in my body was going away. My heart was going. I felt my heart slow down a little bit. So it was fine. And I told the ambulance people my situation, and again, they're saying, "Oh, well, do you think it could be withdrawals?" I'm like, guys, it's not withdrawals. There's no way it could be withdrawals just from one night. I'm not taking the pill. Oh my god. So they said, but they said everything's fine, and then they asked me if I'm able to drive myself to Kaiser, and I told them, yeah, I'm able to because my body was going back to normal, thankfully. So, um, that ended that situation. I got myself drive to Kaiser. Everything was fine at this point. I got the Ativan. Drove back home. Took the Ativan. Fell asleep for like 4 hours. Woke up. Texted my mom and dad. Told them, I'm doing okay. Got some sleep. It's fine. And then went back to sleep for another 6 hours. So that was that right there. But let me tell you guys, I I felt so duped because I don't understand why this doctor gave me such a heavy dose starting out when it was my first ever medication I was taking. And I didn't realize at the time, but afterwards it's like, God, no wonder why my body was reacting the way it was, is because it was such a heavy starting dose. And not only that, but I think I come to find out, I think my brain's really sensitive in general. So maybe adding on to that describes, what happened. So I talked this out with a psychiatrist. So basically, another thing that happened that was messed up was, and I didn't realize this at the time, to properly get medication, you actually have to go through a psychiatrist first and set up an appointment with them first. And then you get the medication afterwards. My therapist did not tell me that. He left out a step. So I felt duped from both sides because I feel like if I had gotten an appointment with a psychiatrist, this may have been avoidable. So, fast forward 2 months later. Actually, sorry, 1 month later. Everything was fine between that and the time that this second incident occurred, which I think it's September 2024. So, one night I was out with friends and my partner at the time. I drank a little bit too much alcohol. But got borderline wasted. Excuse me, borderline wasted, but didn't get hungover. The next day, I was with my friends and partner again. Well, different group of friends, but also my partner again. We were watching a movie, and I noticed this thing in the corner of the movie screen light that was kind of forming and blipping in and out of my vision, but it was barely noticeable. But it looked like demonic looking dog thing. And I remember seeing that. And I think to myself, what the hell is that? Why is that there? Is that it has to be a trick of the light, but I don't know, it was just noticeable. It was just noticeable enough for me to think, okay, maybe that's not a trick of the light. Am I just seeing stuff? What is happening here? I just remember I think that was like the beginning of this next incident. So after the movie ended, I just tried to shake that off. I was like, okay, well, whatever. It's probably just my imagination going wild. I had another drink of alcohol after the movie. The next day comes. I'm driving my partner back to his town. On the way there, we get Starbucks, and I get a drink with a lot of caffeine in it. 10 minutes along the way, maybe 15, I feel my heart rate beat rapidly again, and I'm seeing this formation starting to blip in and out of my vision again. And I'm thinking to myself, oh no, it's happening again. So I'm on the freeway at this point, and I knew what was happening. So the nearest exit I saw, I got on there, and then I pulled into a Dutch Bros parking lot, and I start to have a panic attack while I see this horrendous face blip in and out of my vision again. It wasn't the anonymous mask. It was I drew it. I'm gonna show you guys. I drew it, and my drawings aren't really good. I'm not an artist, just to put that out there. But I'm gonna describe it, then I'll show you guys. The face was like a best thing I describe it is demonic face, but the only noticeable features were two slanted yellow eyes with a circular mouth with sharp teeth sticking out of the mouth. That was blipping in and out of my vision. Oh my god, that was even more terrifying than the anonymous mask. And I'm about to show you guys the drawings that I drew of the face. It wasn't. I drew multiple faces, but it was just one face on here. I went a little bit crazy one night because I got tired of seeing these faces, so ignore the poor handwriting, but this is what I saw. This is on the bottom. So what you're seeing here, this is the face I saw blipping in on my vision. Yeah, that's scary. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my god, okay, this just let this pass. Like this time though, I knew I wasn't gonna die because I'd been in this pretty much exact same situation prior, so I knew I wasn't gonna die, but it was still terrifying because again, I'm seeing this face that shouldn't be there. I'm feeling a panic attack, and not only that, something happened that didn't happen the previous time. I felt this part of my face droop a little bit. There's like a medical term for it, but I don't remember what it is right now. But I felt it droop, and I found that so weird because it's like, why is this happening now? So this attack lasted for about a half hour. I tried to walk it off. My partner tried their best to console me, but there's really so much they can do. So I drove to the nearest Kaiser hospital, to the ER, let them know what was happening. They could not find anything wrong with my body. Again, they took all of the vitals, all that stuff. Nothing was off. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? I don't understand. I haven't taken this medication in a month. Why am I experiencing these same symptoms now? And that ER visit, which resulted in nothing, costed me like $300. I'm like, great, $300 down the drain, all because this happened and nothing got resolved. So, and I figured, I looked up Prozac online, and it's in the half-life of it. It does stay in your body for quite a long time. I forget how long, but the half-life of it is pretty long. So basically what I'm saying is, by the time that this incident happened, the ingredients of the drug weren't fully out of my body at the time. And I think me drinking a lot of alcohol plus the caffeine was what triggered another psychosis episode. That's the only thing I can think of. So, one lady at the ER recommended that I see a psychiatrist about this situation because they could help me a little bit more. And the lady even also said, that she's surprised that I went straight to a doctor first for the meds rather than a psychiatrist first, because that's the proper method. And I told the lady, yeah, I know, by my freaking therapist. So I make an appointment with the psychiatrist. This is like 1 or 2 weeks later. I go down to see her. I tell her everything that I've experienced, and she says, "Oh, I've never heard this happen before. Yeah, you shouldn't be experiencing that because it's been over a month." And I'm thinking to myself, lady, you had to have heard something like this before. You had to. Don't give me that crap. So she gives me this. She gives me Ativan to help with with my situation. Now, the story unfortunately doesn't end here. As the nights go on, I get sleep, but I'm noticing these faint demonic formations happen in my vision again, like it was when I first started taking the meds. And there were a couple nights I couldn't sleep because, when I close my eyes, I'm seeing these demonic formations and entities coming in and out of the void. And again, my mind's so hyper-focused on analyzing and figuring out what the hell these things are that I couldn't sleep. So that's where the Ativan came into play, and I was able to sleep. Fast forward another month later. The demonic visions, hallucinations, whatever they're called, go away. I'm good. So, what happens next? I go to a friend's wedding. This is early November 2024. Go to a friend's wedding. I have one glass of champagne. It's in your typical champagne glass, so it's not a big glass. It's just one glass of champagne. That night, in my bed, staring at the ceiling, I see this face that looks like very similar to one of these appear in my vision. It blipped in and out, but that was it. But as soon as I saw that, my heart raced immediately. I felt it almost pound out of my chest almost. And I'm like, oh no, it's happening again. And then after this, another weird thing happened. I heard I don't know how to describe it. I heard music play, but it sounded like it was coming from our old broken radio. And I remember it kind of almost blaring in my ears. And I'm like, oh no, what is happening now? Oh my god. That went away after a few minutes, thankfully, but that's when the demonic hallucinations and formations or whatever started coming up when I closed my eyes again to go to sleep. So I'm like, great. I need more Ativan now in order to deal with this crap. So I contact the psychiatrist, ask for more Ativan. She gives it to me. I take it. The hallucinations last for another freaking month or so. And the psychiatrist I talked to also recommended that I take olanzapine to counteract the demonic hallucinations. And I'm like, I'm not taking another medication from you guys again. No. Because I also looked up olanzapine. A lot of people have gotten really bad side effects from it too. Like just feeling totally hollow and depressed, and weight gain as well. So after that experience, I'm like, okay, I can't do this again. This lasted for pretty much almost 4 months of my life. So that's the gist of that story. So basically, what I'm saying is, I'm not at all saying, this is not an anti-SSRI video, guys. Okay, this is not anti-medication video, not anti-anxiety video. This is none of that. I'm just telling you my nightmare experience with this one medication that a couple people messed up on prescribing to me properly. And it sucks because at the beginning, I really thought I found the thing that would really help my anxiety. I really did, but alas, sorry, I knocked my thing right there. But alas, I guess I just gotta rely on pure mental power to get through the anxiety, which I don't know. I'm just simply afraid to try anything like that again. So that's the end of that, guys. Thank you for listening and watching this video. If you made it this far, this is almost 40 minutes long. So thank you if you've made it this far. This is just a topic I've been debating if I even want to share, because I know the topic of SSRIs or just medication, anxiety in general, can get pretty heated. And so, but I really want to get this out there just so people can know, what the possibilities are that can happen with people like me. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week. All right, bye-bye.